Hello. Today we are going to learn all about the power of time. I'm going to give you some tactical principles to take away. And then hopefully you're going to go back and change your life in some way, shape, or form to better utilize your time, to live more on purpose, so you can start living your big dream life. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So the concept of the power of time. Time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you have lost it, you can never get it back. How are you spending your time? So I want you to just take a few moments and think about, how has your week look like? How has the last 24 hours look like? What do the next 24 hours look like? And what are you focused on? Where are you wanting to go? What are your goals? What are you wanting to achieve? And how are you taking every second of every day in some way, shape, or form to get you to the life that you truly want to live? So high achievers definitely have a more well-rounded understanding of the value of time. Show me your calendar or a day in the life of, and I'll show you how you value your time. Some of the wisest people in the world are often most annoyed by the loss of time being every second. A big purpose makes you appreciate every second a little bit more. When you have a life that's just lived from one moment to the next, and you're truly not focused on who it is you want to become, where it is you want to go, what it is you want to achieve, and what you want life to look like, then life and time will control you. But when you have a clear vision up ahead of what you really want your life to look like, whether that's in your professional world, whether that's in your relationship world, whether that's in your motherhood or your fatherhood, your sisterhood, whether it's in your physical gym life, workout life, whatever type of physical activities you like to do, your spiritual world, if you don't have a vision of what you want each one of those things to look like, and if you don't hold yourself accountable and time block it and use your time purposefully, then life controls you. And the overall concept I want you to have is you can control your life. Whatever it is you want to achieve, you just have to find the time to do so. And what that most importantly means is you oftentimes need to start saying no and start living more on purpose. I'm going to give you a few tools here today that will hopefully help you start living your life a little bit more purposefully. So how to get 3 days out of one. That is principle number one. A lot of this is taken from the book Ed Milet, The Power of One More. But a lot of this is also things that I apply in my everyday life that I'm putting on paper to show you that this stuff really works. And I think just to tell you a little bit more about my story, I am an overachiever. I like to get all things done in all aspects of my life. I oftentimes put myself last, and I put other things first, such as my career, motherhood, being a wife, making sure my house is clean, making sure my laundry's done. But oftentimes the stuff I do for me comes after everything else is done. So the concept of having 3 days in one really works for me. And here's why. So before children, I had a lot more free time. And I said to myself, when I had kids, I don't want to give up my career and the business I built and my ability to influence other people, whether that be buyers and sellers or investors that I work with, or whether it be members on my team. I still want to influence people at a high level. But in order to do so, and also be this very in-present mother, a mother that takes their kids to school, picks them up, packs lunches, makes her husband breakfast, lunch, dinner, sometimes 2 dinners, picks up the house daily, makes beds daily, vacuums daily, does a load or 2 or laundry daily. I had to figure out how to get more out of my day to ensure that I could do all of those things and be all of those things and still have time for myself. So I really started implementing making sure I had my work done by 12 or 1 o'clock every single day. So what that looks like is I have 3 days in my life. I have day 1, which is 5 a.m. to noon, day 2, which is noon to 6, and day 3, which is 6 p.m. to bedtime. So essentially, if you're able to figure out how to make 3 days out of one, all of a sudden you start living 3 years in 1 year. So what that means is the night before, the morning of, I spend 30 minutes being very, very intentional on what my day needs to look like to ensure that I make all of this come to life. Because as you can imagine, this isn't something that just happens. It's a life you have to prepare for. It's a life you have to time block for. And it's a life you have to hold yourself accountable to as well, if you plan to or want to live like this. So I get up, make sure that I have my to-do list every single day knocked out either the night ahead of time or first thing in the morning. So I know what my day is going to look like. I oftentimes try to get everything knocked out that has to be done before anybody else's feet hit the floor, whether that be throwing a load of laundry in, whether that be doing a market analysis first thing in the morning. And then my busy work comes. My busy work meaning get ready for work, get the kids ready for school, pack my gym bag. I've packed lunches the night before. They're ready to just throw in bags and we're out the door. And then when I come into my office and I'm greeted by the agents and the admin staff on the team, I'm here and ready to help them in any way, shape, or form. And I'm not doing what I need to do. I've already done what I needed to do, so I can be in present, taking things on as they come. Anything else I try to do, whether that be appointments, whether that be any other to-do list I did not get done in the morning, I try to have that done by noon. Noon to 1, I try to do a working lunch. I try to work with the girls on my team. We meet somebody for lunch, whatever it may be. And then 3 o'clock is usually my workout time. So from 1 to 3, I'm either going on another appointment, I'm doing busy work in the office, I'm responding to email. 3 o'clock every day I work out. I finish at 4, check my emails again, go pick up my kids by 4:30. We go home, I get them settled, give them a snack, look at email again, do my to-do list for the next day. And by 6 o'clock, I try to check out unless I have an appointment. But 6 o'clock on, I try to check out and be very in tune to my family. So I've already done my to-do list. I've gotten my kids off to school. I've gotten all of my work completed. I've worked out. I've buttoned up my list and got my to-do list ready for the next day. And now all of a sudden I have a few hours before bedtime where I can be present and in my family's life. So I've pretty much reached most of my buckets for the day. Before bed, I oftentimes read, do something spiritual. Oftentimes I'll go on another walk. A walk to me is a time, and sometimes I do walks in the morning too. It just depends upon what my morning's going to look like. A walk to me is very spiritual. It gives me time to clear my head, tune in to the world, and make sure I'm living on purpose how I need to do. So this is a way that you can get a lot of work done in very little time. And we're going to talk about why that's important here in a minute. Oops. So more purposeful with the timeline. It goes back to the concept of the 12-week year. If any of you have read the 12-week year, that's a great book. But it goes back to the concept of when you have shorter deadlines that are touchable, that are seeable, it then creates urgency in you to get things done. In Ed Milet's book, he gave the analogy of long distance runners run a pace up until they can see the finish line. Once they see the finish line, they speed up the pace. It's the same concept here. If you can see that finish line, if you have a purpose of what you're working towards, you are going to work more purposefully, quicker, and be way more efficient than if you're focused on something that's going to happen 2 months from now. So literally, every day I have to-dos of what is it I need to achieve today to get me to where it really is that I want to go tomorrow or by the end of the week or by the end of the month that then equates to the year. So I have daily contacts I need to make. I have weekly appointments I need to make. And believe it or not, the more momentum you get and the more you start doing this, you can have a week's worth of work knocked out in 2 or 3 days. And it's unbelievable. I just said to myself this morning, I've already scheduled all the appointments I need to schedule this week, and it's only Wednesday. Now, that doesn't happen every week, but weeks where I'm very purposeful with my time, it happens. And I think what we oftentimes don't realize is when we are checking off those boxes, we are releasing endorphins and good energy that only makes more good things happen. So instead of giving yourself this huge audacious goal that seems very unachievable, break it down into smaller bite-sized pieces that you truly can achieve. That way you're fulfilling yourself more, you're giving yourself more energy, and all of a sudden life doesn't seem so overwhelming. Principle number 2, This is something I've learned from my mother, so I'm going to give her the credit here of always approaching time as being urgent. Procrastination is definitely the thief of joy. And when we're not staying focused on our purpose or on our to-do list, it's easy to get distracted. I just spoke on the concept of the finish line and releasing endorphins, but I'm going to talk on it a little bit, deeper right now. We attract the energy we put out. And when we are putting out energy that we feel defeated or that we're not getting, I don't even like saying this, and like we're not getting things accomplished that we want to get accomplished, or we're not going where we want to go, you're going to feel drained. You're going to feel depressed. You're going to feel ucky. You're going to feel the weight of the world on top of you. But when you get up and you have a to-do list and you have intentions and you know what you need to achieve today, so you can one day achieve this huge audacious goal, and you start to achieve those small things, and those small things become bigger things over time. You do not even, until you do it, you can't even believe the amount of joy that brings your soul. And the more joy that you bring yourself, you're rejuvenating yourself. You're propelling yourself forward. You're building momentum. And all of a sudden, this huge goal happens tomorrow. And oftentimes in our mind, we think it's going to take us a year. But what we don't realize is when we start taking baby steps towards it, those giant leaps can happen, because the baby steps were us being steadfast in our faith. They were us being very, purposeful with our time, which is being very disciplined in the goal we're trying to achieve. And when we do that consistently, big things can happen much faster than you ever imagined. I've had many times in my life where I said, within 12 months, I want to do X. But when I put my head down and I got real purposeful on it, oftentimes that 12-month goal was achieved in 3 to 6 months. And that's reality. When you take your focus off the big things and focus on the small things day in and day out, and stay diligent and stay accountable to the small things, the big things happen sometimes quicker than you could ever imagine. So principle number 3 is to live intentionally. Focusing or spending time with yourself 30 minutes either in the morning, 30 minutes before night. I prefer to do both, on setting your intentions on what you truly want your life to look like, and then reflecting back at the end of the day and maybe doing a bit of gratitude. Gratitude to me is sometimes saying like, good job. Sometimes it's being thankful, for even sometimes difficulties that came your way that push you towards or redirect you. Gratitude is just, also one of those good energy things where you put out gratitude and you stay grateful even in the storm. That storm will soon come to pass and your abundant blessings will soon come. So gratitude's, something I do at the end of every night. My morning is more like focused on visualization, doing my affirmations, doing I am statements, whatever it is to get like those good juju energy flowing, but also your mind focused and visualizing truly the life you want to create. And when you do that first thing in the morning, it's much easier to say no to distractions, because those distractions are meant to derail you. And your focus is here. And if you stay intentionally focused on where you want to go, these distractions are much easier to say no to, because you have clarity around where it is you want to go. And clarity is truly power. Principle number 4, you need to be held accountable to your purpose and to your daily activities that are truly going to get you to your weekly and monthly goals. So you have to have some system to measure it. High performers measure daily, oftentimes by the minute. If you're only measuring weekly, monthly, or yearly, oftentimes you're too late and you've lost time. I try to look at every day as purposeful. I use a tool that's called the 12-week tracker in my personal and professional life that monitors what are the activities I need to do that get me towards these huge goals. And I check them off on a daily basis. This one thing has changed my life in a way that I can't even begin to tell you. And until you do it, until you live it, it's not something that I can truly explain all the feelings and emotions it gives me. But when it's Wednesday or Thursday and I've knocked out 60 to 70% of my work, like that feels good. And that feel good feeling releases endorphins, but it also gives me permission to like, hey, take the weekend off, or hey, go do this with your husband, or hey, take your kids to the park. Where if you haven't done what you needed to do, doing those things that you want to do can oftentimes not be as enjoyable because you have all of this weight on you of the guilt, of the shame, of not doing the things you know you should be doing. And it comes down to discipline. When you stay disciplined in certain aspects of your life, it allows you to enjoy other levels, other areas of your life at a higher level. And ever since I started being more purposeful with my time, instead of having 50 emails or 20 to-dos when I pick up my kids at 4:30, I've already checked off all those things. Like, I can enjoy my kids. I'm not being so distracted on my phone all the time. In a perfect world, that's what would happen every day. Does that happen every day? No. But it happens a lot of the time where I'm not frantically doing things at night, and I can actually enjoy my husband and kids and cook dinner and go on a walk and play with them without still having to bring work home. So again, when you live life on purpose and when you're able to truly be present in the moment because you are working when you needed to work, it allows you to play when you want to play. And it gives you permission to play too, without feeling any guilt or shame. And then this whole concept of time definitely goes back to just focusing your energy where it needs to be when you need to be it, when you need to be that thing. So like I love to say is like, you need to always be right where your feet are. When you're dropping your kids off for school, be right there and pour love into them, pour, positive things into them, give them hugs, give them kisses. Don't be a frantic mom that's trying to make a phone call, on the way to school. You don't oftentimes realize how that can ruin somebody's day. When you walk into the office, be in the office, leave everything else at the door. Like, be in this moment, be grateful you're here, pour into the community, pour into the culture, pour into others. When you're on an appointment with a client, like, be right here. Don't be worried about X, Y, and Z because you haven't done those things. Like, you should have already done those things. Like, be in the moment so you can give whatever it is in front of you your best. Be in the now. And that oftentimes means you have to purposely plan your next steps. Energy breeds more energy. So the more positive energy you can give yourself, you can give your life, the more you have to give others. And it totally comes down to focusing on your time. What are you doing when you need to be doing it? How much energy are you giving the things you need to be giving energy to? And where is your energy being drained? So again, take a few minutes, reflect back on what life has looked like. We're midway through August. What does life look like for you till now? And what are some things or some principles that you're going to go implement so you can start moving towards your goals, but also living a life that feels good, a life where you control the time, and a life where you're giving yourself more energy so you can go out and give the world more love and energy too. Have a great day.